VikesNow. I am Dustin Baker. We are here on Saturday, May 25th, the weekend of Memorial Day. We got mandatory minicamp that kicks off in a little over a week, and then training camp is in July. Tonight, we're going to talk with Travis. He's got a podcast of his own. In case I forget towards the middle or the end, Travis, tell us about your show, your podcast.
Yeah, we're on the Vikerr podcast. I'm on YouTube. I just got started around late February.
Okay.
Trying to do something, every Thursday to Friday is about my schedule.
Okay, wonderful. Well, if you ever want a filler guest, you let me know, and I'd be happy to come in and chat. I love going on various shows, especially during the when the off-season puzzle was coming together. That was awesome. But during some of these slow months, it's pretty cool too. So keep me in mind if you want somebody to chat with. All right, Brevan, why don't you start off? We're gonna pick Travis's brain. We got about 4 or 5 things. Let's get it cracking.
Oh yeah, and I'm super excited to have Travis on because I get some more Virginia representation here.
We're on a roll.
Yeah, we had Walter Rouse on the show last week, and he's the MV, so I'm winning the last couple of days. But no, Travis, what is do you have a candidate for like a surprise roster cut this offseason that we might not see coming quite yet?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with our boy Kenye Nwanwu. Man, I love Kenye, but I think with the addition to Aaron Jones in the backfield, plus Brandon Powell served a pretty good role last year as a returner. They just picked up Trent Sherfield as well, and he's looking really good in OTAs right now. So, and he's kind of a return specialist too. At least he was in Buffalo. I think they kind of brought him in, to kind of fill that role as well. I think our boy Kenye's, I think he's gone. I think that's probably the most surprised cut I have. He hasn't found himself in the backfield much either. So unfortunately, I think he's going to be a casualty.
He's one that has always confused me because you would think if anybody could use speed on offense, it would be Kevin O'Connell. Well, of course, the Chiefs would know how to do it, but it leads me to believe that Nwanwu just isn't that dynamic as a playmaker on offense. We certainly know that he can be very sweet on some kick returns. Last year was kind of a down year because of injuries. So you've got Nwanwu on your roster bubble. I'm trying to think of some other ones. We've asked this question to a couple folks. We've had Caleb Evans' name come up. And then, of course, for those who are just getting back into Vikings football for the year, Lewis Cine and Andrew Booth are allegedly on the bubble. I would argue Cine is more on the bubble than Booth, but we shall see. But you heard it here that in the era here of a new kick return rule, we might fly blind to this thing with Powell or Sherfield. We have, let's see, less than 4 months. We're coming up on about 3 and change until the regular season. And Travis, every offseason, there's usually a guy that Vikings fans circle and say, hey, we need to sign that guy. Arguably, the last couple years, Ndamukong Suh has been on that list. He didn't sign with anybody, I don't think, last year. Dalton Reisner late in the summer, and then certainly in September, that one actually happened. Who is a free agent this summer that you would consider icing on the cake this offseason?
It wouldn't be a huge addition. I feel like Brandon Powell's kind of filled that wide receiver 3 role, but man, give me Hunter Renfrow, man. I watched that dude ball out in Clemson. I watched him ball out on my Hokies for a few years too. So, he's good. He's serviceable, right? I know he kind of had a down last couple seasons with the Raiders, but it's the Raiders, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like if he was in a better offense, that would kind of unlock his ability, such as us. I think he would have a serviceable role, but I don't know if it's going to happen. I'll give you another one. I know he's old, and I should probably tread lightly on old because I'm only 2 years younger than him. But man, give me Calais Campbell, man. I just inject that into my veins. Just put him plug him right there beside, right there on the D line, right there beside Harrison Phillips. And just let him go work. Maybe one season we get out of him, if anything. He probably wouldn't play all year, but man, give it to me.
We've been boisterous about Campbell on this show, and I think there's a temptation to think when players as good as him get this like old. He's gonna be 37, 38, whatever he is. That he's probably gonna sign with the Bills or the Chiefs and chase rings. He doesn't really do that.
He doesn't.
He spent the last year with the Falcons. Let's see, before that, I think he was with the Ravens, so there could have been championship stakes. He spent time with the Cardinals, so it's not quite. He showed last year signing with Atlanta that he's not necessarily the type that needs to go to a bona fide contender. And if he wanted playing time, he could certainly get it next to Harrison Phillips on this defense because, man, this offseason, we kind of assumed that because there was so many defensive tackles, non-nose tackles available, free agency Christian Wilkins, Eric Armstead, DJ Reader, Grover Stewart, Leonard Williams, and there's more. We thought, the Vikings got to end up with one of these guys. And then they were struck out aside from Jerry Tillery. And then the draft came, and on, Friday night of the draft, there was like that run on defensive tackles when it was like, all of them are gone now. Let's see who they get. So they got prospect X, Levi Drake Rodriguez, but it would be a really amazing story if he actually saw playing time this year because seventh rounders rarely pan out. So I like the Hunter Renfrow idea. That's another one where they've kind of glossed over WR3, and it seems like they're content with our guy Brandon Powell and Sherfield, maybe Jalen Naylor. But Renfrow, I think, should be at the top of the list if they get to the summer and realize, hey, we need to upgrade. Also, remember that when roster cuts hit, now they're all on the same day, there's always about maybe 20 free agents that make you go, ooh, the Vikings should go get that guy. So that might be what the Vikings have circled for defensive tackle or wide receiver or something like that. Brevan, what do you got?
I want to say I really like the Hunter Renfrow take because a little birdie told me that a very good-looking up-and-coming writer actually posted an article today on Purple PTSD about why Hunter Renfrow should be a Minnesota Viking next year and actually take that wide receiver 3 mantle from, assumedly, Brandon Powell. I don't know how much I trust Brandon Powell to be a season-long wide receiver 3. I mean, he was good in big spots last season, but I guess as long as we're not having him do the brotherly shove in a game where you need to win to make the playoffs or have a chance at the playoffs, we'll be fine. But looking away from that, this offseason has kind of had a lot that I think we all, for the most part, agree with has been good for the direction that the Vikings are going. What is an offseason decision they've made that you don't quite agree with so far?
Dalton Reisner. I don't know what it is with that. Obviously, there's probably something there because Denver just kind of gave up on him. No one else in the league really called his name. Checked him out until midseason last year when we finally made the call, and then we just kind of give him the cold shoulder. Just kind of broke up with him via text. Really, I don't get it. And I think there's something probably there because like I said, the rest of the league hasn't called him. I think he had some sort of a issue in the locker room in Denver. Is what I've read. Didn't read anything last season that there was any issues. I thought the guys loved him. I know Kirk loved him. I know that whoever was, in our revolving door of quarterbacks after Kirk went down, they all loved him. I know the run blocking, the run blocking percentage was low and he wasn't very dependable, but I watched a lot of film from this past season and all his pass blocking was there. I mean, he was just kind of looking for a guy to hit. And as an O-line guy myself, I love that. It's just a head scratcher, mainly just because you don't really know why they haven't called him. But I would like him back. I don't know how much faith I have in Brandel or I think Dan Feeney's probably just a camp guy. I love the mullet. I love the flow. But I don't know if he's going to be starting even over Brandel. But I just don't get it. It's a head scratcher to me. I'd love to see him back.
Yeah, and that's a pretty good one. I mean, thinking just like the bad luck we've had, especially at guard, in the last 10 years is just too much to bear. And at a point, you look at Reisner, and I think now we're past the point of worrying about compensatory picks. So at this point, if Dalton Reisner wants to come back cheap, I don't know if money's the holdup. It might be. He doesn't seem like the kind of guy that really cares that much about money, but at the same time, it's about the structure, as we've heard this offseason. The one that came to my mind was, and I don't know how you guys feel about this, but Shaquille Griffin, like it's nothing I'm gonna like nitpick and be like, oh, they shouldn't have done that, because I mean the Vikings need corners, and Shaquille Griffin has been productive back in his day. But and I'm not saying that you can't predict how the draft was gonna go. And I don't think they knew they were basically not gonna have a draft past the first round next year. Do you, is there a part of you that scratched your head at that signing? Like, do you think it was worth giving up a compensatory third for Shaquille Griffin?
The comp picks really, I don't really understand the formula on it much. I don't think anybody does. It doesn't really bother me as far as that part. I just think the whole signing altogether was kind of weird. He was never anybody I had thought, or I mean, I don't think any of us had read or had him linked to Minnesota. Apparently, Flores likes him. Apparently, he likes his style of play. I'll be honest, if it wasn't for the need of depth in the cornerback room, I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't make the team this season. To be honest, I think Kyrie Jackson's probably going to beat him out. I hope Kyrie Jackson beats him out. I like Kyrie. As a fan, I want Shaq Griffin to play great. Right, I don't really care who starts at that position; just ball out. But his production's gone down. He's bounced from team to team to team. He was obviously kind of brought in, I guess, on some kind of leadership veteran presence, but there was plenty of guys you could have got in that role. I would have took Patrick Peterson back and paid him another $10 million, which would have been also stupid. But I would have brought him in more than Shaq Griffin. But I want him to excel, but I don't get it.
Yeah, I know. What was it, 2021? Either that or like year before, year after, we were heavily rumored to sign Shaquille Griffin. But I think that was the offseason we ended up signing Patrick Peterson. So now this is kind of like better late than never, I guess.
Yeah, it does ring a bell now that you brought that up. But I mean, 2021 Shaq Griffin was fairly better than 2024, I think. But yeah, I would have rolled with that then. Now it's just kind of like, okay, well, I mean, I hope it works out. But yeah.
And I want to make it clear that's like an ultimate nitpick. Like, I'm not freaking out about signing Shaq Griffin.
Right.
So saying like just the ins and outs.
I can tell you from writing about this team now since 2020 that this was the first offseason that we haven't asked for Shaq Griffin. Like in the last 3 or 4 years, he's never been like, oh my God, we got to go get Shaq Griffin to be the signing. He's just been like, all right, hopefully they get somebody who can mentor or something, or a little bit of depth. And so ironically, this was the first offseason that nobody really gave a shit and was like, oh, well, no, we're going to be fine at cornerback. And then they got him and we're like, oh, hey, this is the guy we always asked for. On Dalton Risner, I would certainly, if my phone buzzes tomorrow and said, hey, he's back for $5-6 million, whatever it is, I'd be like, sweet. Because I think we all like the guy. But the thing I can't get over is I don't think that Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, Kevin O'Connell, I don't think they forgot. I don't think they're like, oh, we don't need a left guard. We're fine. I think what they have is what they like. And they have improved the offensive line every step of the way since they took over from Zimmer now 28 months ago. And so although I would love for peace of mind to have Risner back, it's either they really like Brandel, they've got grand plans for that Juergens guy, or I don't know, they're waiting for that, end of summer roster pool or something, because it's weird that Risner isn't back. But what I wouldn't say during the Zimmer era is it's going to be fine. I'd be like, oh God, here we go again. With these guys, I'm like, you know what? They probably know what they're doing at this position. Unlike the previous regime where we always had to think, oh, son of a bitch, here we go. We're starting some asshole. I don't think we have to worry about that anymore. I guess we'll see when we get to the summer on Risner. The decision I didn't like is like duplicative from what we said 10 minutes ago. If there was 8 defensive tackles that they could have signed, why couldn't they get the worst one? Or why couldn't they get Maurice Hurst from the Browns, who was like $2 or $3 million? Why couldn't they get somebody? It's like for almost a decade since Sharif Floyd didn't work out, it's like we have this mentality that you don't need a defensive tackle next to the nose tackle. It's like what you can put in somebody there, Armin Watts, Shamar Stephen, they're going to be fine. And they're always just a placeholder. And so I don't know what it'll take for somebody to realize you can be like these other teams and get a guy who's a stud. But I don't know if they said, you know what, because we couldn't get a defensive tackle, we're going to get 2 edge rushers and then draft the best one in the draft. Maybe that was their rationale. But when there eventually is a day where they sign a sweet defensive tackle, I'm going to be really happy about it because I will feel like I've been heard finally. It's kind of the argument we had about guard for 7 years about, can we just get a good one? Because they always seem content with some idiot. All right, here's my next question. We got a couple more, Travis. Can the Vikings be like the 2023 Texans where this rebuild was accelerated? They made the divisional round of the postseason right away. Or can we not have nice things, and that definitely won't happen?
I think we can. But if you look back on the 23 Texans, they had a rookie quarterback who a lot of people doubted. I doubted him. He was the 2nd overall pick from Ohio State. So I just had bust all over CJ Stroud, but he proved me wrong. The sophomore season slump is we don't know if that's going to happen yet, but he proved me wrong for now. So for us to be the 2023 Texans, I think we got to start that rookie quarterback that everybody's hating on and everybody's doubting on and shock the world with JJ McCarthy. We could do it with Darnold, but it's not exciting as, doing it with JJ McCarthy.
Amen.
But yeah, I think we could. I think we got the offensive firepower. I think, you touched on the defensive pieces that they've added in with the edge rushers and going to get the best one in the draft. I think we got a really good defense. I think, at least on paper, we have a really good defense. Versus recent years when Zimmer years were kind of fading out. We finally got that defense. I think the league is going to notice. I think the league was kind of put on notice this past season. I think we can be. I think, we got a lot of young players. They gotta gel and they gotta work together, and they're gonna, hopefully they'll mesh here in the offseason enough to put it all together to have a shock season and kind of put the rest of the league on notice that, hey, the Vikings are back. We're just 1 or 2 more years away from getting to the real show.
I like what you said about Darnold because I've asked myself, when you think about the upside, like, hey, this guy, he could really take off. He's finally got a coach that'll love him and an offensive weapon. Like, does it really matter to us if he does that? Like, let's say he has 4,000 yards. Let's say he has Cousins' stat line, 4,000 yards, 30 touchdowns, 10 picks, a complete redemption for him. Does it really matter for the Vikings? I mean, is he going to stick around with that stat line? I don't think so. It would be really weird if he was too good to ever have McCarthy see the field. So I will cheer loud for Darnold with the loudest Darnold fans that there are, and I hope he has 45 touchdowns. But it's weird to me that he has a chance to have this huge reclamation year, and then all he's really doing is auditioning for his next team. Unless I totally got this wrong, and they're just cheering him along, and then we'll just have some big debate about McCarthy and Darnold. But that's where I'm at. It's every time I think about Darnold or I go to write about him, I start to get that pit in my stomach. Like, I know this guy's going to be good because that's how Vikings football works. The unsung quarterback is always really good, at least for a while. So that's where I'm at on Darnold. All right, Brevan, let's do 1 or 2 more with Travis.
Yeah, I'll go pretty general here because I didn't send you this one before you came on, but shouldn't be too hard to answer, I hope. It's May, so this is completely I don't want to say pointless, but it's May 25th. So by no means is anybody bound to saying whatever their prediction is. But what do you have the Vikings record at as of right now for 2024 on May 25th at 11:53 p.m. Eastern?
So my last upload for the Vikerr podcast, I broke down each game, on the schedule, predicted each win, each loss. I got us losing the last 2 games of the year. This last 2 divisional games against Detroit and Green Bay. But I got us sneaking in on a 7 seed at 11-7.
Oh, wow. Holy
that's my prediction.
So you got us 11-5 going into week 17 and 18.
Yes.
You mean 10-7 is their final record, or 11-6?
Oh yeah.
They can't be 11
or 11-6. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Probably be 11-7 if they lose the wild card game.
Yeah.
We know all about that.
11-4 going into week 17 and 18.
Yeah.
That would be wild.
Remember who the 4 losses you had were?
So we lose both games to Green Bay. We split the series with Detroit. we lose to Texans.
Man, I think that's about as optimistic as we've had on this show. So kudos to you. What about before we get you off air? I usually ask folks for some sort of summer prediction. You can choose whether or not you want it to be bold and out there, which are kind of designed to be outlandish. My bold offseason take before the video came out was that Cam Akers will re-sign with the Vikings. And like 2 days after I gave that take on air, he was at the facility rehabbing, and I was like, oh. Okay, so Cam Akers back is my bold offseason prediction for Vikings this summer, I should say. What do you got? Do you have one in mind?
Oh, man. I guess I'll go bold here. And I really can't put a finger on which one. But I think either Lewis Cine or Andrew Booth, one of them will not get cut. They won't be both. One of them stays. I'm not bold enough to say which one.
That's all right.
I'm pulling for Cine. I really am, but nah. But yeah, one of those will stay. One of them will get cut. That's my bold prediction. I know everyone is saying that both of those guys are good as gone, but that's about as bold as I'm gonna get right now.
That's all right. Yeah, Cine has a uphill battle. Like, you really don't even know if he is good or can be good because there's too many dudes in front of him on the depth chart. Like, there's this camp that says, our Cine's a bust, he's going to get cut, the guy sucks, horrible draft pick. But then, like, if they gave him an audition and benched Josh Metellus, we'd be like, what are these idiots doing? Metellus is too good. So it's kind of a catch-22 with figuring out where he should be on the depth chart. I would say Andrew Booth has a substantially more safe roster bubble because the cornerback room isn't as solid as the safety room. But I don't know. I really hope they don't give up on Cine, but then I start to ask myself, when will he even play? If Theo Jackson is as good as his offseason kind of seems to be, it's just too many guys. I think it was weird last year when they kept as many safeties as they did. So keep doing that again. We shall see. All right, Travis, you said you record about once a week on your show, the Vikerr podcast.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. And then folks can check that out on YouTube, correct?
Yeah, I'm right on YouTube, Vikerr Podcast, and hit me up on Twitter as well. If you follow or subscribe on Twitter or YouTube, I follow and subscribe right back. I don't care what content you have. If you even have content on YouTube, I subscribe. I'm subscribed to so many people that have 0 videos. It's not even funny, but I do that because it's just as a thank you for taking your time to subscribe to me and check me out. And same thing on Twitter. I follow a bunch of random folks just because they follow me, but it's all good. It's all love.
Awesome. All right, sir. We're keeping this weekend segment alive. When you want to get on our show, you let us know. It'd be great to talk to you again, maybe later this summer when training camp's heating up or preseason. But that's all we got, and we'll talk to you guys soon, okay?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, take it easy.